Hello out there and good morning, traders, and welcome to the Apteros Daily Market Insight. It is April 5th, 2024. Let's dive into it here a little bit. So looking at our recap from yesterday, we didn't really have an official DMI. I was just putting out some neutral levels here. And essentially what we ended up seeing was an area up here holding to the downside, not able to get up above it. We saw some scalping in terms of acceptance from here, back up to here, back down to here, and then really didn't get any shifts off of any of our areas. So it was a downside move all the way down through this little bull zone here. Started to see at least an inflection in this zone here to pay attention to. And then, of course, a bull zone breaking down becomes bearish. Looking at a bearish zone here to continuation of the downside. And then, obviously, the market just continued to move down into the close heading into the end of the session. So what, essentially we saw yesterday was an area that was very unclear, very dissonant. And we didn't really have a great edge in terms of what was happening from a line in the sand perspective. But references still make sense. Acceptance still makes sense as you continue to read the trading in the day as it evolves. And some opportunities to be had if you have a very solid scalping framework around what you're trying to accomplish in the market. So no official DMI. I was just showing you kind of how the levels played out. None of those trades, are narrative contextual staples that had to be, put on or anything like that. It was more or less just me looking at how the neutral references and things played out as this market kind of bounced around a little bit yesterday and then sold off into the afternoon. So let's dive into what's going on today. So today we're in a spot with heavy dissonance. We're in an area where multiple time frames are at edges with trade ideas that make a lot of sense. So this is probably the highest level of dissonance that you could really get to whenever it comes to Nadro analysis. So this area here is definitely 100% dissonant. And what's interesting about what I'm going to describe to you here in the levels that we're seeing is as we go lower, this market still maintains a somewhat bullish situation. So as we go lower, even down into here, this market could very easily still, grab enough liquidity, bulls can activate and continue to just drive this market higher, right? So that's one of the issues with today. The other issue is that we have bearish ideas that are in play currently. So we have bullish locations that are still bullish. We have bearish ideas that are playing out. And whenever you go into the ranking and distilling process, these things are pretty much equal back and forth with one another, making them essentially probably one of the most dissonant situations you could find yourself in. Now, if you're a Nadro trader, the intraday framework stuff can really help you. It can really help you make a tiebreaker. Is order flow in your favor? How's your intraday framework working out? How's everything setting up for you? Use those as tiebreakers to help you navigate the dissonance if you're going to navigate it at all. But for general public who are just looking at these, using these maybe to help them, use your own process and methodology around it, but know that right now the ES is definitely in a spot where we have conflicting ideas right up against one another. Now, let's talk about where those things actually clear up. Okay, so where does dissonance actually clear up? In this whole area here, you essentially find yourself in a somewhat dissonant zone. If you get outside of this bearish area here, you start to see the bulls have much more control up into this bearish zone up here. So kind of in this open space here, it's a lot more of a bullish area. If you get down below this neutral reference here, which is a destination right now for the bears, in other words, the bears looking to come down from this area to this area as a destination, if you get down below that, then things get much more bearish overall. And you start to see shifts on multiple time frames. So unfortunately, today is one of those days where I would say there's no real clarity, no real clear line in the sand. And that's true in this area, in this zone here that's very dissonant. But once we get up above, if we get up above this area or get down below this area, things are a little bit more clear in terms of the dissonance clearing up, and we can follow one side of the market versus another, at least in the short term. So that would be my layout for today to the public, in just mentioning that trading in here is going to be difficult if you're doing it from a narrative in bias line in the sand section. So kind of in here is just all dissonance, no real clarity. We do have ideas, we do have things that are setting up here, but we have opposing things right on top of them. But once you get outside of that area, that's where you find a little bit more clarity and things can line up a little bit more better from a contextual perspective. And often you'll probably have an intraday environment situation that would help that along as well. So just mindful of our situation that we find ourselves in today with the prep and the analysis and all that stuff. No official line in the sand today, no official DMI level to really lean into analysis. I gave you the full analysis of what's going on in the dissonance landscape on the ES. And, as a trader, it's your job to kind of work through that information and put it into your process and filter it through your tools and make your decisions for you. So keep that in mind. But for me today, a lot of dissonance in this market, in this zone. If it clears up, maybe a little bit more opportunity in the afternoon. If it doesn't, then there's really battling going on between bears and the bulls in this area. All right, trade well out there, mind your risk, and if you trade at all,